What is up, everyone? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of the Yankees, haters of the Yankees, whoever the hell you are, we have a very special guest joining us once more. A pod favorite, a friend of the pod, dare I say, a best friend of the pod.
Wow.
Gabe Playoff Tanaka is once again not in the physical building, but in the studio, the Fireside Yankees studio with us. Gabe, it's a pleasure to have you back, my man. How have you been these past 2 months since we had you on?
Nick, I'm very happy to be back. Glad to be a friend of the pod. I'm doing really well, man. Done with school, focusing on the Yankees now, and best team in baseball still. So I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, dude. And again, congrats on graduating. Big accomplishment. I remember when I graduated high school that day. That was when the dark skies parted and there was a light. Um, but
That's
that's awesome
exactly what
shit,
it felt
man.
like. Yeah.
Good for you. And then you
Definitely.
also had the prom. You missed the Yankees game when you had prom, of course. Everyone knows that. That tweet went
Yeah,
viral,
I was getting called a fake fan by Foolish Baseball. Don't really
which is
know what that
pretty
was
accurate,
about.
though. I mean, that's pretty
I mean,
accurate.
I saw the Hicks homer. Like I was able to get the game on the TV. I did see the Hicks homer and the Judge walk-off, so I didn't completely miss that
All
night.
right, at least you got the
So,
good moments. That's good.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
and also I had the prom, so
Well,
a
yeah, I
little bit of
mean,
both.
yeah. But awesome shit, man. Again, congrats on that. Congrats on all the good things, the welcomings that have come your way so far.
Well,
We
thank you,
have
man.
you
Thank
on today because there's been a lot of murmurs about what the Yankees should do to improve this team. And there's some players on the team that look like they could be on their way out, and there's some other guys out there in the market that look like they could be on their way in. So I want to have you on, give a little bit of what you think the Yankees should do, what's kind of the missing piece, run through a little bit of buy or sell on some hot takes that some Twitter followers posted on our Fireside Yankees account, and get your thoughts on overall. I mean, the season's been fantastic, like no shit. But overall, like how impressed you are, what things have kind of really impressed you. Like for me, it's the defense across the board, and stuff like that, man. So I guess we'll start with the last thing. Gabe, what has been the most impressive thing about this Yankees team this season?
you. The most impressive thing has probably been, there's been no bad streak. There's been no series where you're kind of just like, oh well, Yankees had a pretty ugly series down in Tampa or whatever. I mean, there really hasn't been any series that they haven't fought in, that they haven't, looked good in. You know, I don't think they've been swept this year
No,
at all, and like
I don't think they've
they've
had a losing series either because they split versus
they
Houston. Or
they
no,
lost
they lost
one
two. Yeah,
series to Baltimore in like April, and people were freaking out. But it's crazy.
Tommy
It's
Smokes
like,
called the season there. Never
yeah,
forget. He said
yeah,
this team is no different than last year's team.
good,
I
good
know it
Tommy
when I
Smokes tweet.
see it.
That was S tier Tommy Smokes right there. But yeah, they really, whenever they lose a game, it feels like they win 3 in a row after that. And like, they had an ugly game against Pittsburgh and they score 16 the next night, and then they come out and beat Boston yesterday. Um, it's just how consistently good they've been the entire year. The starting pitching has been overall very good. It's faltered a little bit the last couple of weeks, but it's still been fine.
S tier
Judge
pitching staff,
obviously.
dude.
Oh yeah, I mean it's been fantastic.
Like Cole had
Not
a
quite.
clunker, but
It's
you
not
take away Devers, and Cole was once again Garrett Cole.
6 innings shutout last night, other than
Yeah,
Devers. So
other
yeah,
than Devers.
yeah, doesn't count sadly.
But yeah, no,
No,
Judge.
but
You were saying Judge, yeah.
yeah, Judge has been. I mean, more. He's been Aaron Judge and more. Stanton's been very good. DJ has been one of the like very low key, fantastic parts of this team. He's been great defensively, and he has sneaky good offensive numbers too. So I mean, all that you put it in the pot, and the defense has been so much better. Clay Holmes has been unreal. So I mean, yeah, you put that all together, and you got a team that's got 60 wins and on July 8th.
It's pretty nuts. Like 60 and 23, 15 ahead of Boston, 14 and a half or 14 over Toronto and Tampa Bay. Like at this point, it's clearly just becoming a one horse race at this point. Like what's even happening right now in the AL East is just all right. These three teams are going to make the wild card. Hopefully, maybe I don't know, but the Yankees are just the best team in baseball. Like
Yeah, I mean, I
even
remember
Baltimore, any other division, Baltimore would be fighting for a wild card spot.
yeah. I mean, you put them in the AL Central, and they're like right there with
Yeah,
the
the
other
Comedy
teams
Central,
almost.
bro. That shit division, dude. Lord, I was so high on the Royals coming into this season. What
and the
happened? Where did that?
Tigers,
What was?
man,
It's
and
like
the
that meme. Like, what did
Tigers.
he? What was he thinking?
Yeah, I love those memes.
And the Tigers, yeah,
The
the Tigers were supposed to be a really
White
good
Sox,
offensive
Tigers,
team.
there's been a lot of disappointment. I mean, the Twins have been very good, and the Guardians have overall had a pretty they've overperformed compared to what people thought they'd do.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, the Tigers are a pretty rough story, their offense and all that. But I mean, yeah, you think about the Yankees a couple years ago. Like we know what it feels like to be 10 back, 10, 11 back. Last year they were 10 back of Boston at one point, and it just feels like you're never. It feels like it's impossible to dig yourself out of that hole. And I mean, here the Yankees are 15 up, and it's July, so I mean, it feels good to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, they just crossed the halfway point in the season. Like they're 2 games past the halfway point, and they're 15 ahead of Boston in the AL East. Like this is it. Again, this team was I thought they were going to be good this year. I saw them fighting for second place in the AL East. I thought Toronto was going to be better. Not going to lie, at the beginning of the season, and then that quickly changed when you saw how this team was not at all like last year's in the way they don't quit, like you alluded to. That was like the main takeaway from this team this season is that they don't quit. Like their resiliency and the fact that even when they're down a couple of runs, that some magic can happen. Like that Pittsburgh game that they won 16-0, it was 5-0 going into the 7th. So like it was like, all right, like this is a good win. You guys bounced back, shut them out, bullpen did great, and the offense did well. And then they just said, nah, screw that, we're not done yet. And then Aaron Hicks came in and just changed the dynamic of the game. Love Aaron Hicks. He's just been on one in July, dude. I don't know what the hell it is.
Did you hear the Pittsburgh call of the Stanton homer?
It was awesome.
That's pretty good. You've got to be kidding me.
So you've got to be kidding me. And then
and
then there's another home run after that because then someone go back to back with Stanton, or am I mistaken? Because it was 15-0 and they won 16-0.
And I think they had another bloop single in there.
That's what it was, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you hear the players talk about it all the time. Trevino was in the John Boy office, and one of the things he said was like it was a while ago now, but one of the things he said is like whenever this team is down, like it's just a different feeling. Like they don't lose hope at all, and like they have confidence in one another, and like that kind of stuff is going to be big in the postseason. Like if they're playing a Blue Jays team that hasn't really experienced the postseason much other than in 2020, the Yankees just have a different confidence to them and a different feel. And, Judge has been he's played in quite a few postseason games. A guy like Matt Carpenter has won World Series.
Big G.
Giancarlo.
That dude just comes alive in the postseason. They're
definitely a little bit more experienced than some of these other teams. And they've been through it. They've been through a lot of failure. And hopefully this year's the year,
I mean, it's looking good so far. Like that's the thing. So like this team right now, I think there's only like 1 or 2 real flaws with it. And those 2 flaws are like, I think we still may need a corner outfield bat. Like I'm loving Hicks's resurgence, but I don't believe in the Joey Gallo resurgence. Like I want.
There hasn't been too much of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like he has one game where he hits a home run and works a walk or 2, and it's like, all right, maybe he's seeing things. And then the next 3 games, it's just back to the same old. Next 13 games, sorry. But the other problem is middle infield. Shortstop is clearly a flaw with this team. Everyone loves to talk about IKF's batting average and how he has I believe the 3rd, second most hits on the team. The problem with that is that they're very empty hits.
Yep.
IKF doesn't hit well with runners in scoring position, doesn't hit well with runners on first base, and all of his hits are just singles. He has like 6 extra base hits on the season. I could be mistaken. I'm probably lowballing him. But when your slugging is 320 and your OBP is 320 and you're batting like 275, you're not really offering anything because you're not hitting the ball hard and you're not walking at all. Like, sure, he doesn't strike out, but he just swings at garbage pitches and grounds out. So I think the Yankees' biggest hole right now is middle infield shortstop. And I think the market for that is probably as dried up as it's been in a while. If you were to look at a shortstop out there right now, or even a second base, shortstop, third base, utility guy, what would you look at? Because I think Marwin has also filled in quite nicely at shortstop and deserves more playtime.
Yeah, Marwin's starting tonight at short, I believe. But yeah, me too. I wouldn't mind for him to get more time there. I mean, IKF, you could live with the bat if his glove was a lock defensively.
Yeah, but
he's made some very nice plays, but he's just not consistent enough with the routine ground balls. he hasn't really graded out well at all defensively. He's like pretty low and outs above average. Um, and like you said, there's not many options out there. You know, Joey Wendell is the guy that a lot of people would point to.
Ryan Garcia fan favorite.
Big Ryan Garcia guy, Joey Wendell. Is Joey Wendell back yet?
Yeah,
Or
he
did he
came
leave?
back a couple days ago.
He did come
Yeah.
back. Okay.
I could be mistaken. He could have just literally gone back on the IL in those couple
No,
of days,
I don't
but
think he did.
I'm pretty sure he came back
I
and
didn't
actually
know
had a
that.
big hit the other day because
I don't
Ryan
know,
posted it
Joey.
and said, "You do you, Joey," or some shit like that, like Joey Wendell. Like I don't know.
I'd assume that Ryan would have posted that, but
What about John Birdie,
I really
fellow Marlin?
John Birdie is another. I mean, he brings a lot to the table too.
Just a
I think
better T
he's had a
Dizzle.
pretty decent year. Yeah,
Just a
yeah. I
better
know
my
he's
boy Tyler Wade, baby. Sorry, I'm moving the camera here.
T Wade. I don't
We
know
could
how
bring him
familiar
back. He got
T Wade is.
DFA'd.
Don't know
That's the
how much
reunion
more
we need,
I
dude. That's
don't
the
know how
reunion we
much more
need.
T Wade is bringing than IKF, but I
He's not.
really don't. I think they're content with IKF. Like I really don't think they're gonna go out and trade for someone else. Unfortunately, I mean there really isn't an excuse to not try Wendell. I don't know how much of a sample he's had at shortstop. I don't think it's too much, but um, I feel like that could be a really, really nice ad. I don't know if they're gonna do it though. I think they're more focused on a big middle of the order bat, corner outfield bat named Ian Happ. So yeah, I think transition into who I believe will be the Yankees' big deadline acquisition.
Love it. Love it. That's great. That's great. I was just about to ask you, who do you think outside of that, like talking middle infield, is going to be your big acquisition? And there it is. You just dropped it. I guess my question to that is, do you think we see a little add-on for former Yankee and WBC hero David Robertson?
I
Happen Robo for Peraza? What do you say?
I ooh. Um, I honestly, I would love D-Rob. He's having a phenomenal year. Like
Yeah.
he's pumping 96. Like
I don't know what
what,
happened.
what's going on?
Like his cutter was usually sitting like 92, 93 with us, and now he's pumping
Yeah,
96. Like, okay.
I was a little bit shook when I saw that, and he's been great. But I really don't think they're gonna reunite with Robertson. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but like I
Yeah, the
actually
player
wasn't.
salary stuff.
Yeah, like in 2018, I think like he stiffed the clubhouse guys or whatever,
Yeah.
and like that left a little bit of a bad taste in the Yankees' mouth. And
But at
like,
the end of the day, if you're trying to win a ring, you
no,
want to bring
yeah,
it. They brought back Abreu. Granted, I know it's not because of this is completely different, but I'm saying the Yankees do like to reunite with familiar faces. They brought back
yeah, and like
Banuelos.
Robertson was a guy. I mean, he was there in '09 when they won. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he's
love
one of the
D-Rob.
OG guys.
Yeah,
Houdini.
I mean, D-Rob has a lot of good seasons with us, but I don't know how likely it is that they go back to him. I mean, a couple other guys, Andrew Chaffin
Ooh, the
has
stash.
the stash. Yeah, I mean, he fits right in.
He'd be great.
Like,
He and Marp, you'd put him side by side in like a panel for like someone that committed a crime, and they
him,
just get
yeah,
mixed up.
Nestor, Licky, and Carpenter. We got a picture of those four together. That'd be pretty cool. And I think a Bender on the Pirates. He pitched against us, and he actually looked like he had some pretty nasty stuff. He's
He's
having a
great.
phenomenal season.
He's like
Yeah,
their pitcher. He's their only good pitcher from what I
yeah.
can remember. Like I
Um,
remember some people were like murmuring about Jose Quintana potentially being on the market. I'm like, listen,
yeah. No,
Quintana's worse than every starter in the Yankees rotation, though.
the only way Quintana, I've heard that too, and I think that that's actually a possibility. I think he could possibly be added as like an innings eater down the stretch. To Yankees already have the division locked up. It's a guy that you think like this guy won't be on the postseason roster, but at least he could eat innings. Kind of like an Andrew Heaney. I know he didn't necessarily work out great last year. Or like if you remember Jaime Garcia in
I do,
2017.
of course, Jaime. Jaime was the
I mean,
man. When we
yeah,
got
he
him, it was
actually
like this is a good stopback pickup or stopgap pickup. That
he
didn't work
actually
out.
pitched in the postseason, Jaime.
It's
But
crazy.
I
Still,
think
ugh,
a guy like
that
Quintana
year
is
was a fever
possible.
dream.
2017.
Yeah.
I miss those days a little bit.
So crazy, dude. It was so now you're like looking back and it's like that team was like really fun and honestly a really good team. And like compare that team
Right.
to this team, and it's like, wow, this team is a
Oh
lot better
yeah.
than that team.
I mean, you look at the 2017 team, and like they won 91 games. They were pretty
Yeah. But then
consistently
they had
good.
that run, and if
But
not for Houston's dumbasses,
yeah, I mean they got hot in the postseason, and they came back. But I mean, you look at the roster, and it wasn't all that talented.
no,
Like
no.
Todd Frazier, Starlin Castro,
Brett
like
Gardner was batting
nice
lead off a
players.
lot.
Brett Gardner and like Didi was a nice player, but I mean he had 3-4. it was a very good and fun team, and like, but talent wise compared to the last couple of seasons after that, I don't know.
Yeah,
You know?
no, you're right. I mean, I will say last year was last year was the real kind of exception for me. Like last year, I looked at this team and I was like, all right, like we had that winning streak that literally propelled us into the playoffs in the conversation. And I was like, this is it. We could do it. And then as you know, we didn't do it. But this year, I feel like there is just something cooking in the Yankees clubhouse that there hasn't been before. Like there's an article that came out a couple of days ago that talked about how there were 10 position players that had a meeting in Aaron Boone's office behind closed doors for like 4 or 5 hours, just like talking and getting to know each other and like building camaraderie. And I'm pretty sure it was like Rizzo, LeMahieu, Stanton, Judge, Carpenter. Like that's the other thing. Matt Carpenter, if the Yankees don't make a huge acquisition this trade deadline, I can kind of live with it because of how good Matt Carpenter's been. They got him
Yeah,
for
man.
literally nothing. Like Texas just said, screw it. We are not going to give you playtime on the major league roster. We got to give Charlie Culberson his at bats. And they let him go. So now Marp has been single. Like yesterday, I think he had the
Mark.
worst game in his Yankee uniform. And it's because he went over. And like he's still like now he's being played in the corner outfield. He's playing left field tonight. Like
Yeah.
maybe they just say, bye, Gallo. Marp, you can just play literal bang average defense in the outfield and you'll play like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, I mean, Carpenter still got an OPS over 1.1, I believe. And like in it's not the smallest sample size anymore. I think he's at like 60 plate appearances. But I mean, he's been like it blows my mind. Any team could have picked him up. Any team.
No
And
one
like the
believed
Yankees
in
took a
him.
shot. He was killing it at AAA too. And I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely a real world in which Carpenter is getting postseason at bats for the Yankees, like 100%. I mean, is he like an 800 slug guy? I don't think so. But I mean, there's a very real possibility. I mean, Matt Carpenter's hitting sixth, game 6 of the ALCS against Houston. And
I
that can
love that. And I can just see now he'd have his Greg Bird moment against Houston. And it'd be one of the most glorious things in Yankee history. And the DVD, that would be the closing scene. That and
I
then
mean,
it's just Marp
it's
getting
poetry.
showered. It'd be awesome. Oh, I'd love it. I'm
I
I'm
can Matt
loving Matt
Carpenter's the
Carpenter.
guy I could see winning World Series MVP,
Yeah, I can
right?
see him.
Like,
I can
can
see
you
him
see
having like
Matt
a
Carpenter's
Hideki
like
type run at
I
DH
was
and
just
just
gonna say
dominate.
Hideki Matsui, yeah.
And I'm
Give me a
here
guy.
for it. Like Carpenter, that's the thing. And it's not like you watch him play and it's like, okay, you can see he's physically slowed down. And you can see in the defensively, regardless of where he plays, that he's not what he used to be. When he played third base, like the 2 times he's played, he's looked pretty solid over there. And then at first base he played and he looked meh. And then in the corner outfield he played and he looked like I literally didn't see enough of him to like judge how he played. Because
Yeah,
he played fine. It just wasn't like anything like, oh yeah, like look at Matt Carpenter out there in right field.
he's not. I mean, I don't know how well he graded out defensively. Like even when he was like a top player, I don't know if he was necessarily a glove first
He was always all
player
right
guy.
guy at third base,
He's
always
not
pretty
like
solid.
I mean, we haven't really seen him enough to get like a good look.
Yeah,
If he's getting at bats in the postseason, I'd assume that they would be from the DH spot. I don't, but I mean, you never know. I mean,
that's true. Like if Stanton
someone
ends up
someone
playing the
goes
field really
down.
well, then yeah, you just keep Carp at the DH spot and give him occasional outfield days or whatever, and then you give
Yeah,
the Stanton the occasional DH days. But if coming down the stretch of this season, you're like Stanton, dude, we want you to be healthy for October. You're gonna be playing DH basically all of September when you do play.
and they
Um,
probably will end up doing something like
yeah,
that. I
and
mean, yeah,
that's
'cause
what they
that's a
should
lot
do.
of
That's a smart
Carpenter.
move.
Yeah, no, and like especially if the Yankees are running away with it, September expect a lot of rest days.
What if they have
And
100 wins in
expect a lot
September?
of Matt Carpenter.
Dude, they could get 100 wins in a month and a half, 2 months. Yeah, easily, easily. End of August, if they have 100 wins, that'd be insane.
It's possible, dude.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
po
This team is
I
just so good.
I want them to break the record. I don't know if they will.
What is
I
it?
thi I
What's
I
the
think
record? 117 or
I think it's is it 116 or 117
oh, it's one
by
of
the
those.
Mariners? Whatever.
Yeah, the Mariners 117. Yeah, Mariners won
117?
117.
Okay.
Insane. And then they didn't do anything in the postseason. So hopefully
Yes,
we
I
don't
mean,
do that. We don't want to do that.
it's all about what you do in the postseason, 100%.
Okay. I think this team, that's the thing. I think this team, the way that they play in the regular season right now, is one, we've seen it's sustainable. Like everyone loves to talk about how the Yankees are home run dependent, but home runs win ball games. The Yankees hit 3 grand slams in 2 days. And they won both those games. So come on now. You gotta understand that home runs and slugging mean a lot. Sure, they may not be the prettiest where it's like, okay, when they struggle, they really struggle. But when this team clicks and they're on, there is not even close to a better lineup in baseball.
Yeah, man,
So
100%.
I think that translates to the postseason really well this year. Like in the rotation, even if it gets shrunk down to 3 or 4 guys, and the Yankees do require an arm at the deadline, like say Luis Castillo or Frankie Montas or Tyler Mahle or someone like that, then I think that'll just make them even better because then you can let Nestor and Sevy kind of pitch every 6, 7 days because they haven't pitched 150 innings for Nestor in his career and for Severino in like 3 years.
Tyone too.
Yeah, and Ty Young. Yeah, like so that's the thing. Getting a pitcher is really big for this Yankees team. So I guess that's kind of a segue into the next little section of this episode that I wanted to try out, which is buy or sell with Playoff Tanaka, or as people call him, Gabe, or commonly known as Wabe.
Wabe.
Wabe, baby. So here's the first one. I asked, what are some hot Yankee takes that you feel people should be put onto? And Gabe, buy or sell, Yankees acquire Luis Castillo, but give up a top 10 prospect.
Buy.
You think who do you think the prospect is?
Maybe I don't know if they're willing to give up Peraza, Volpe, or Dominguez. Maybe Waldichuk.
What about Wells?
Which would hurt me because I love him.
Who would you rather see stay, Waldichuk or Wells? Because I feel like those two, in my opinion, are kind of on the same level of prospect.
Yeah, like they're not Peraza, Volpe level, but
yeah.
Oh man, maybe Wells. I don't know though. Well, one of them. I mean, they both look like studs. So
that's a hard one. No, it's a hard one. Yeah. Here's another one. All right. So there's a good chance that Aaron Hicks is this team's starting left fielder post deadline. Buy or sell?
Sell. I think they're going to trade for Ian Happ.
Ooh,
but I like it. I think he's done a very nice job. And if somebody were to get hurt, I mean, Hicks isn't a bad replacement by any means. He's done a nice job since he moved to left field. So
no, yeah, he's got I think 4 outs above average in left.
Yeah,
and 2 defensive runs saved. He's been pretty good out there.
Yeah,
like I was talking about
it.
He made that catch was beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Hicks, he's just been doing what like the team kind of needs him to do this month. Finally, like that's the thing. Last month he was good, and this month he's just on another level.
Yeah, he's been very good since June 1st. Yeah,
it's awesome shit, man. So okay, I like that. I love Ian Happ coming to the Yankees. Like that's in my fucking Twitter bio. It's Ian Happ. You are a Yankee. Here's another one. This one's a hot one. The Yankees will have a somewhat disappointing trade deadline. As in, they don't get Ian Happ. They don't do anything really. They maybe just get a bullpen guy.
Honestly, like I could buy that. Like it's very possible. Like you think back to 2019. You know, they have won 60 games. They are 60-23. So I don't know if Cashman's happy with what they are now, but I mean there is a lot of room for improvement. Like we said, you know, they could get a bullpen arm, take some of the load off Clay Holmes and Michael King. They could use
Ron Marinaccio, dude. He's got dead arm.
Marinaccio, I should include him.
Aroldis injured Ron Marinaccio. That was the final straw for me with Aroldis. Everything else I put up with and gritted through my teeth when he pitches.
If that's true, I
mean, think about it. He walked 3 guys, and then they had to put in Ron Marinaccio on a day's rest.
Arm.
Yeah, and he's like, I have it. Then after he came out, he's like, yeah, I can't feel my arm, but I just threw it anyways. And it's like, what a beast. What a beast. Meanwhile, Aroldis is smiling. You son of a bitch. Anyways, sorry. Yeah, I think that's true.
Not a Chapman pod.
Not a Chapman pod, dude. I despise Aroldis Chapman. How could you like Aroldis Chapman?
He doesn't have many fans left.
Thank God. Thank God.
I'm rooting for him to do well on my team.
Yeah, because he's on the Yankees. Yeah, but I also don't want to see him in any close ball game because of how bad he is now. Like even against the Pirates, he was locating his fastball, but they're more or less like all in the strike zone, and they were hitting it, just not hitting it hard enough. So like
he looked a lot better in Pittsburgh. Yeah. He was dotting the fastball a little bit. He hit 101 or 102, which is pretty cool. Chapman still got a lot left to show, but I don't know. I think he still ends up getting big innings. So
okay. Well, that wasn't a hot take, but I like that one actually. Chapman still gets big innings. I mean, at this point, like there's not really that many guys to go to. Yeah. But all right. Here's a kind of bullpen hot take again. Britton becomes elite again when he returns from the IL. Buy or sell? That rhymes. Call me Dr. Seuss.
I would say sell. I think it's possible, but I would not depend on it. I guess that's why you call it a hot take. But I mean, I'm not depending on Britton. If he comes back and looks very good, that's a huge plus. Same thing with Johnny Loizaga. If they come back and look like their old selves, like that is better than any deadline deal you could have gotten for the bullpen. But I mean, I wouldn't count on Britton. You know, he's a little bit older. He's thrown a lot of innings. it's never easy to come off Tommy John surgery.
No.
But I mean, quick recovery. Maybe he looks good. Maybe the velo's back up. We'll see.
I mean, I will say in his first bullpen session, he was like touching 88, 89 on his velo. So that was his
I
first
didn't know
time
that.
throwing in a while.
Okay.
That's the thing though. Like first time
Oh
back
yeah,
really in
yeah,
the
yeah. You can't really judge
throwing
that at
88,
all.
89. Like that's at least good that he's showing signs of life. Like if he
Yeah,
was touching like
you can't judge
82,
that.
83, I'd be like, all right, Zach. But like touching 89 is like, all right, you're only a couple mile an hour like lower than you usually sit with your sinker. Like
And
he
he
sits like
doesn't need to
94 with
be
it.
doesn't need to be the 97 Britain
No.
from his Baltimore early Yankee
We
days.
just need him to be a
Like,
good middle relief guy.
well, I mean, he relies on movement anyway,
Yeah.
and I think he's even said before, like when his sinker sits like a little bit lower velocity, it actually moves more. So I mean, it's not like he needs velo to be great. He needs location and to not walk a bunch of people. But yeah,
That's a great point. Look at you dropping knowledge bombs, coming wave, baby. Here's another one. Albert Abreu pitches meaningful October innings. Buy or sell?
bye. I like how Braves
Everyone was
look.
so high in Abreu. I was not. I guess I'll eat my words on it. But like,
I like how he's looked as a Yankee.
yeah,
He
he's
kind of
2 pitches now.
he got the Matt Blake formula down. Just throw that sinker in the zone and into righties and throw your slider too.
Yeah, he throws his changeup. Like I think he's thrown like 4 or 5 changeups since he's come over to the Yankees. And then when he was with the other teams this season, he threw it like 12% of the time, and it was awful. So he's
Yeah.
just stopped throwing that pitch, which is
Stop
good.
throwing the pitch that's bad and throw the pitch that's good. The Matt
Yeah.
Blake formula.
The 100-mile-an-hour
Yeah.
sinker that rises like a fastball, dude. Throw that shit, and then your
He's
slider.
he's looked really good. And I mean, if the Yankees are gonna have a long postseason, Game 6 of the 2019 ALCS, people forget. Luis Sessa and Jay Happ combined for 3 scoreless, I believe. So you never know. I mean, I think there's a world in which Abreu gets some meaningful innings for sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was Ryan Garcia, our own ESM. That was his hot
Hey,
take.
wow, that means a lot.
Well, look at you. Look at you. And then I'll give you mine to kind of round off the buy or sell, which I've enjoyed this segment. We need to do this shit more often. This was fun.
Yeah, I guess.
Mine is Luis Severino will start game 1 of the ALDS.
So there's no way.
I don't know. I think
The only way would
strong,
be if Cole
baby.
the only way would be if Cole got hurt.
I don't know.
Or
I don't know.
Severino doesn't give up another earned run.
I don't know. Maybe we play matchups, because what if the ALDS round 1's against Boston and they roll out Eovaldi game 1 and Sale game 2? Why not put Severino game 1 and Cole game 2? I'm thinking like a genius over here.
Oh, do a little bit like what Cleveland used to do when they used to have Kluber go game.
But they'd
2?
have Kluber go 2 or 3, and then they'd have Bauer started off.
It's possible. I mean, if I had to bet right now, I'd say Severino game 2. I honestly
like
don't even know what would they. It would be Cole game 1, Sevy game 2, and would they go Nestor or Monty game 3?
I'd have to go. It's so hard because Nestor hasn't even been bad. Like Nestor's been getting some slack because of his last 5 or so starts.
He's been fine. Yeah,
he's been fine though. But like I think Nestor in a bullpen role over like 3 innings with his stuff would literally be like one of the best.
Yeah, they might do some piggyback action. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like Nestor's stuff would play up more than a Monty's in the bullpen. But I could see JMO's stuff playing pretty well in the bullpen too.
Oh, I think if the Yankees go to a 4-man rotation, JMO's absolutely the oddball out. I love what JMO's doing this year, but right now, yeah. But if it's a 3-man, that's where shit gets interesting.
Monty or not? I mean, I think they definitely do a little. Maybe Monty starts, Monty goes 4 strong, line up twice, and then Nestor comes in. I don't know. We're a long way away.
I know, but we're a long way away. But that's what we love about this team, dude. Now we can like think about this shit.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, look at that. We almost have locked up the division. Like this is nuts. This is how good this team has been. Like this is an otherworldly season. 60
like other teams don't really get to experience that too often. Like
no, imagine being a Twins fan. You got to sit there and be like, wow, we're barely above mid. That we're in such an ass division. We're winning it, but everyone else is so mid. We could lose.
Winning the division.
I know, but like it's like they're winning the division with like heroics from like Gary Sanchez, and it's like, guys, are we going to rely on this long term?
Hey,
I've seen this one before.
Gary gets hot in October. Anything can happen.
Does he though? Because Gary was benched last October.
Yeah, I wouldn't depend on it. Gary's having an all right season. He's been all right.
He is. All love to Gary. I'm happy he's doing well, and I'm happy that they're giving him DH days because he honestly needed that in New York more.
Yeah. And with Stanton, he wasn't going to get it. So.
But all right, Gabe. So I guess we're going to wrap up this episode here. And is there anything you'd like to leave the Fireside Yankee faithful with, as we've now crossed over that much beloved peak of 1,000 subscribers, and we're now in the valley of prosperity, as I like to call it. Is there anything like you'd like to end this episode on for your impression on the season or Yankees or life or whatever.
I don't know if I have any like advice or anything, but just like my advice would be to subscribe to the channel
Oh,
because it's a very good channel and it just got to 1,000 subscribers, excuse me. So hit the like button, do all that stuff.
Gabe is
Uh,
not even paid to say this.
that's like what YouTubers say, I think.
Hit that
Like,
like button. Go ahead and
yeah,
smash it below.
comment, give me your hottest Yankee, give me your hottest take about Matt Blake in the
Matt
comments.
Blake, I like that. I think Matt Blake. Here's my hottest take. Matt Blake's gonna be the highest paid pitching coach in baseball. That's not a hot take at this point, but
Nah, that will happen, yeah.
yeah, he's it's almost guaranteed at this
He's
point.
gonna
Like the
get
dude's been.
Judge's extension. Judge's
If Judge
extension.
signs, it's gonna be because of Matt Blake
Oh
and
yeah,
Trevino.
and Trevino, and Rizzo maybe Rizzo.
Like imagine how Judge feels knowing that now in close games in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning when we have the wild arms in, we can protect the lead with a great defensive backstop. I bet you that really does wonders for the soul.
Yeah,
I know it does for the Yankees fans. All those muddling grandpas and uncles on their couch, this Jose
they
Trevino
love
guy.
Trevino. That's why
I never let
Trevino.
anything past him. He's like a brick wall.
That's why Trevino is like everyone's favorite. I mean, not
And
just
I
because
love
he's
it.
like
He's
smiley.
your favorite.
I love
you're his
Trevino.
favorite too. You guys, it's like a mutual love for one another.
We're very good friends. I shook his hand once, and like he commented on my tweet once. So like,
And Nestor, he and Nestor on
and
that tweet.
Nestor, that was
You
a
roped them
wild
both
day.
in. It's like if you were like a crab fisher, like on Deadliest Catch, and you're like, yeah, I got some crab, and all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, there's a swordfish and a whale in there.
When Nestor also replied, I was like half awake, and I woke up the next morning and I was like, that didn't really happen. I was like, holy shit,
That was
Nestor
a dream,
replied.
fever dream. So
I
you're rubbing your
seriously
eyes
thought that,
profusely.
yeah. Wow,
Refreshing. Please be there. Please be there.
That's like what I did. Yeah.
But all right, man. Well, again, thank you so much for joining the channel. And once more, everyone, make sure to, as Gabe told you, like and subscribe. We put out daily content, sometimes 2, 3. Today's gonna be probably a 3 or 4 episode day. And again, we're just continuing to grow. We're loving the grind. We're loving the community. Loving meeting people like our homie Playoff Tanaka over here. And once more, appreciate the support. And let's go Yanks.
Let's go Yanks. Thank you.